Hey guys, I'm Jax and this is my spoiler review for the penultimate episode of the final season of Servant. So, what did I think about the second to last episode of Servant ever? Well, I thought it was amazing. I thought this episode was so good. It was such an enjoyable watch, whilst the content of the episode being completely non-enjoyable. Like, the characters are going through so much trauma and horror and heartbreak, but the filmmaking behind it was so exceptional and so fantastic to just behold. I was just captivated. I was horrified. I was just on the edge of my seat. It is just so crazy. Like, every episode this season, I'm like, when are they gonna tell her? When's she gonna find out? Just get to it already. And then as I like, they're sitting in the car, and I suddenly realized that I was like, they're all sitting in the car. I'm like, oh, I'm surprised to even see them in this episode. Like Sean and Julian, I kind of thought it would be a girl versus girl, Dorothy, Leanne kind of showdown for a bit, because they were, told they were, Leanne's like, you're not coming back in this house, Buster, when he got, stabbed or whatever by the magic wind, and it was like, ah! And so I was kind of like expecting a bit of a kind of showdown in that way. So early in the episode, having them kind of be in the car, I'm like, okay, this isn't where I thought it was going. And then suddenly, when the conversation kind of took that turn, and they're like, we gotta tell her right now, and I'm like, tell her what? Oh my, guys, I wasn't ready. I've been waiting. I've been ready for so long, and then suddenly the moment came. I'm like, I'm actually not ready. I felt like I was Dorothy. Like, I was like, I don't think we need to do this. What are these guys even talking about? I reckon just don't even tell her. I don't know if I want her to find out. Like, as it came to it, wanting her to experience this so we can kind of deal with this, like, watch her deal with this and kind of really come to terms with the horror of what happened. But then as it kind of built up to it, I'm like, I don't want her to find out. This is going to destroy her. And it did. And it was so amazing. M. Night Shyamalan was back to direct this episode. I'm not sure how many he's directed recently. I feel like he directed the first couple of each season for a while. But I don't know, just having him back since his new movie, Knock at the Cabin. I recently rewatched all of his films. He's the most overhated, underrated director ever. I love M. Night Shyamalan. He is so good. So, I don't know, maybe it was just because, like, I love him now, so I could just, like, I don't know, just knowing that he was directing, knowing he was behind the camera, making all the acting good and stuff, just putting his M. Night Shyamalan juice all over it. Bad phrasing, don't like that. This episode was one of those rare special episodes of a show that kind of only really happen every now and then when a show has kind of been building to a moment, a thing to happen. And for so much of the show, you just feel like you're building and getting to this point. And I never really saw it as them just kind of telling her and slowly going through it, because throughout the season she's trying to figure stuff out and trying to figure out why she couldn't remember that August. So I kind of thought she would have this realization, we'd have a shot of her face and she'd be like, no! And then it would cut to black and we'd, follow up the next episode. But I actually really enjoyed being stuck in the car. Like, suddenly when I'm like, oh, it's just all gonna happen in the car, all the shots of everyone are so tight and close, everything's so claustrophobic, it's pouring rain outside, it's moody and atmospheric, it's all just building to this horrible reveal. Usually with an M. Night Shyamalan reveal, and a big reveal and revelation, it's so exciting and awesome. This one just was so dirty and disgusting and, like, horrifying. Seeing bloody Ron Weasley just bawling his eyes out. It was so good, but so upsetting. Like, it's one of those things where I'm like, I am loving every second of this, but also another part of me was like, I hate literally every second of this. I have always been an absolutely huge fan of just the simple dolly in onto an actor's face as they have a big monologue or a big kind of moment of realization. I just find something that's it's so simplistic and, like, not easy to do, but it's just such a clean, simple little way to be starting here where everything's normal, we're in the normal wide shot, even though in the car it is still quite claustrophobic. But then, you just keep coming in, and the acting and the face and all that stuff is going to keep doing the things that are going to make you feel the things. And not just for Dorothy's scene, but for any time anyone does this in a movie. But then you just keep getting closer and closer and closer until it's just like you're just so close. You're seeing the little details in the skin and the hairs and the eyes, and I don't know, I find it such an effective and simple way to just get really deep into a character as they have a big moment. I always remember in Game of Thrones Season 3 where Jaime Lannister has his big speech about the wildfire and the Mad King, and just kind of holds on him and just sits on him. I'm like, that's the best. That's like one of the best things ever. And I just always remember being like, could have just dollied in, just come right in, just go. I want to be this close to the eyeballs at the end of the moment. Let's not go down a rabbit hole of things I wish happened in Game of Thrones, because I will be here all day tomorrow and all weekend. And so you will not be surprised to find myself very, very excited that the biggest, most important moment of the series, we just do that. We come right in on our face. But I feel like I was doing a weird thing. I don't know. I'm not a camera guy. I'm not a tech guy. But at first I felt like they were almost doing like a thing where it felt like it was coming in and out. Like it was almost kind of going, and then it started coming in. And I'm not sure what did that. Or maybe I was just hallucinating because I was so on edge. It's hard to say. I was ecstatic and it was such a bizarre combination of being so excited to see something happen. I feel like I've just been waiting for this for way too long, but I have not been watching Servant for 4 years either, so I can't imagine if you've been watching from day one to finally have this moment happen, because it feels like, I don't know, it's like I knew it had to happen this episode or right at the end or right at the start of the next episode. But I guess I was almost like afraid of like, how is it going to happen? When's it going to happen? And to finally see it play out so well, so effectively, so emotionally, and the acting, just like, I mean, the acting has never, ever been anything but fantastic. I mean, I'd argue it's pretty much in a 10 out of 10 every episode, all the way through. It's what really got me into the show at first. Like, the story's crazy, and like, the filmmaking is really good, but the acting is so good. And Dorothy in particular, I've only ever seen her in the 6 Feet Under, but that show was just so kind of sad and real. I'm not even sure if they finished it. I don't know, but she was fantastic in that. But seeing her now, so many years later, she is just a tour de force of acting. What I also really love, which I never really expected with the reveal and that moment of realization for her character, is that as they're trying to explain it and trying to kind of build the, you know, the stepping stones to get to the moment, rather than just being like, Jericho died. Don't you remember? Remember. They're trying to like find their way there carefully, you know, just like trying to get to that moment. And everything they're saying, she's like, I don't understand. What is this? You both sound weird. Like, and it's just like, it is such a weird conversation. And her reaction feels so genuine, which is like, yeah, I don't remember August, but like, what is this? Like, she wouldn't immediately be like, wait, are you saying that the baby died? Like, it never dawned on her until it all just kind of comes flooding back, like the dam has been broken. And I don't know. Obviously, they've kind of known what they were going to do eventually for a long time with this moment, but it feels so well crafted, so well thought out, so well layered, where it's just like, I don't know, like them all sitting in the car really reminded me of those flashbacks in that first or second season when we really found out about all that stuff, where it's like, yeah, these people were all together for so long, and all three of them have so much blame. It's all of their faults, even though you can kind of feel like it's more Dorothy's fault. But I really like them kind of putting the blame back on themselves, and then trying to, you know, be like, it's an accident, even though it's an accident, but it's still, like, it's so complicated, and it's so disgustingly grey, and just, it's really complex and awful, and I don't know, I was surprised by how well it was, like, handled. Like, I really wasn't sure they were gonna, like, nail it this hard. I'd be super curious if people, like, agree, if people like, yeah, that was just perfect, or if people wanted to play out a different way. Because I don't know, now it's happened this way, I'm like, this is how it had to be. Lock them in a tight, confined area, everything laid bare, and then she just loses her mind, scratching, punching, clawing. She almost breaks the window, like, and then she crawls out just like screaming as the rain's falling. It's just like, it's cinematic perfection, but it's so upsetting. Like, I don't know how many episodes of this show remind me of just that, like, it's like I'm enjoying it so much, like on a filmmaking level, and it just made me so sick in my stomach for what was like actually happening on screen. It's what a show. And now to my negatives of the episode. I don't have any! I don't have any, baby! I love this so much. I have literally nothing negative to say. I feel like I never really have anything negative. I don't know, sometimes I'm more like trepidatious of like, oh, we're getting so close to the finale. Is it all going to be wrapped up perfectly? And I think for some people, maybe the way they're going to go about wrapping things up might not be for them. But I think the point we've gotten to now, like, just having them be so, she's not magic because of bloody old Uncle Georgie, and being so on one side of it. Having Leanne this episode be like, I do weird things that sometimes you'd be like, I can't explain that. But guess what? I brought Jericho back to life, and I just love how the moment of Leanne confirming to us that she brought Jericho back to life as she holds the doll, she's like out of focus in a mirror in the back of a shot, reflecting, and we're just focused on Dorothy's face. Just that, it's just like the revelation moment of just hold on Dorothy, hold on her, and she will do all the heavy lifting. We don't need to be fancy, don't need to be crazy, just hold on her. It's so simple, it's so effective. I just love how you see Sean almost come into frame, and they never move the camera to make sure that every other person is like there. Like even the doll, they're just like, it's a doll, but we don't get cut to a shot of the doll to be like, bam, it's the doll again, rah! Like it's just like, yep, okay, it's the doll, and you're just focused on Dorothy and those bloody eyeballs, acting like no one's ever acted before. It's just, it's just, I was overwhelmed by how like into the episode I was. And as Leanne is just like, I'm magic, all you need to do is say yes. Just say yes, I'm a magic witch, say yes. And then she goes to say yes and goes, and literally as it cut to black, I screamed. I was like, what? No! It's like, I was just so overwhelmed by how like disappointed I was there wasn't more. But that is like, that's exactly why cliffhangers, and I love episodic week to week TV, because as much as I was disappointed for like half a second that we aren't getting her response and more stuff happening, it's like all I'm going to be thinking about is just like, oh, what you gonna say? And I just love that water cooler moment of just discussion and thought and just like, yes, no, just what's going to happen. I just, so yeah, I'd be really interested. What do people think she's going to say? Yes, no. I'm kind of leaning towards yes. I feel like she's definitely wanted to magic back Jericho. I feel like her saying no, I don't know. I just feel like she's going to kind of fall back on that kind of, he died, but there's a way to make him not die, even though the house is falling apart, even though she's clearly evil, even though all these other things. I think that she's going to kind of like, I don't know, want to kind of live that fake reality, if you will. But also, I'm not sure if it really, like, she's magic. Like, is it a fake reality? It's like, if someone can bring back your loved one, and, like, there are minor consequences, but he seems healthy. Like, if she realizes now what Leanne has done for her, is she going to like Leanne more? So maybe she's going to be totally happy with Leanne kind of co-mothering with this baby magical Jericho. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see how it lands. I'm super curious what people think about this episode. And just generally wow. It is so scary. And it's kind of sad to think that there's going to be one more episode. And then we're done. One more episode and Servant is over forever. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment below. I would love to know what everyone thought of Servant's second last episode ever.